Today's more of just jabbing. I can only jab when two main players out for another team. I only jab. That's it. Just because Cat is gone and Gobert is gone, no uppercuts, nothing. Just straight jabbing. That's it. Just kind of, doing the whole thing. Actually, as I say that, I'm uppercutting and everything else. What's going on, Laker fans? Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Lakers over the Timberwolves, 120-109. I get it. I understand it. Not exactly the prettiest brand of basketball, but I genuinely don't care, and I'll tell you why. Literally, the only thing that matters by the time tonight was done was just get the win and walk away. Lakers were supposed to win tonight, and Lakers did win tonight. I know there were moments where it was too close for comfort. I know the turnovers were ugly. I know there were times where they didn't kind of come to play. But like I said, ultimately, the only thing that mattered was Lakers getting the win. They got the win. So 120-109, the final score. We'll spend some time talking a little bit about the game and a little bit on the Timberwolves side as well. I think they're an interesting team once playoff time comes and figuring out if Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be there. Anthony Davis, literally a historic night for Anthony Davis. He took advantage of both big men being out for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll spend a little time on that. I want to talk about the specifically the game, even though I don't think there was a lot that we could take from the game. I think the Lakers kind of play with their food a little bit. This is what they do. 6 games over 500. This is the most that the Lakers have been over 500 all season long. So I'm going to say that again. 6 games over 500 is the most that the Lakers have been over 500 all year. So actually a high point for the Lakers season. We'll look at the standings. And then we'll also preview that game coming up against the Sacramento Kings that's coming up on Wednesday, and another chance for the Lakers to do a little bit of a rematch. Couple things here. Just a quick reminder, Underdog Fantasy, a proud partner of the channel. Already got my picks that I'm going to show you guys a little bit later. Luka and the Mavs taking on DeMar DeRozan and the Chicago Bulls. So I'm going to pick between those two players on higher than lower. If you have not subscribed yet to the channel, I'd really, really, really appreciate it. We're closing in on 24,000. The hope is to get closer to 30,000 here. So we got a lot of work to do, but I appreciate if you guys can subscribe to the channel. Sammy's in the background. He's going to be on top of all your comments. Let's get into the game. So 120-109. Not ideal going into halftime, and you gave up 68 points to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you only had a 1-point lead. Not ideal going into the fourth quarter that, again, it was, were they up 3 or were they yeah, they were up 1. Not ideal that Minnesota, that's right, they hit a buzzer beater. Minnesota did. Garza hit a shot right at the buzzer. Not ideal that Minnesota had a 1-point lead going into the fourth quarter. But I was looking at this weekend as a whole. And frankly, once they beat the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday night, once they won that game, it was basically just beat the Timberwolves. Who cares how you beat them? You got a chance to walk away with a sweep of the weekend and go 2-0 in this weekend. I didn't think they were beating the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday night. I just didn't. If you guys had more faith, and you had more faith than I did, I thought without LeBron James, I thought the Bucks coming off a really, really bad loss against the Golden State Warriors the night before, a couple nights before, I thought that was going to come into play. But Lakers were unbelievable on offense. D'Lo was incredible with his 44 points and his 9 assists. And the Lakers actually walked away with a win against the Bucks. Even though they went down by 6 late in the game, they found a way to get that win. Once that happened, it was like, hey, just beat Minnesota. Did you guys really think coming into this game? When I was getting ready, I'm doing the pregame show. And we already know, obviously, Cat's not playing. I saw that it was listed that who was all on the questionable. Who was on question? Anthony Edwards was on questionable, and then Rudy Gobert was on there. But I didn't really pay too much attention to it. Or no, it was Kyle Anderson was the other player that was on there. I didn't pay too much attention to it. And then for the pregame show, I'm talking to Alan Horton. Alan Horton does the radio play-by-play for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I had him on as a guest during the pregame show, and I was asking him, like, what do you know here? And while we're doing the show, the report came out that Gobert was out, Kyle Anderson was out. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns is already out. The moment that happened, it was like, all right, well, this is a wrap. Just win the game. And I know for me, watching enough Lakers basketball, I wasn't shocked when it was a 1 point game at halftime. I wasn't shocked when it was down by one at the end of three quarters. Maybe at the end of three quarters, I was a little bit more shocked. I thought the Lakers would kind of start taking over. But at one point, they went up 13, and then before you blinked, that lead was gone. But eventually, Lakers, took control there in the fourth quarter. You knew they would. The problem in the NBA is if you just screw up too much, you just never know what can happen. That almost lost that game to the Wizards. Lakers have been in situations where, they should be closing out a team and they don't do it. But this happens to everybody. Let me give you guys an example. You don't think the Milwaukee Bucks fans on Friday were saying, how the hell did the Bucks lose to the Lakers and they didn't have LeBron James? So a lot of teams play with their food. I know it's not ideal. I'm not trying to encourage it, but what I'm trying to tell you is just get the win tonight. And they did. So 120-109, the final score. Yes, did Naz Reid for at least the first half look like the greatest player in the NBA? He did. And Naz Reid's a baller. He's a really nice player off the bench, but I think he had 21 at halftime. They only held him to 25. Anthony Edwards, 10 of 23. He didn't shoot well, 2 of 9. He only ended up with 25. So I thought the Lakers did what they needed to do, primarily just in that fourth quarter, held them to 17 points. What I'm not trying to promote is that the Lakers, based on this game, this is the ideal picture perfect. This is how you win if you're the Lakers. This is how you go make a run to the NBA Finals. I'm not trying to promote that. I understand who was in this game and who wasn't in this game, but when the dust settled, all I cared about, did the Lakers have 36 wins or not? The game ended. The Lakers got 36 wins. One thing to point out before I get into Anthony Davis, I get into individual players. Obviously, 21 turnovers for the Lakers, and I did hear Darvin Ham talk a little bit about it, that, hey, it's a good win. We got the win. People, I understand who the Lakers have beat over these last, let's say, couple of weeks or so. But Minnesota's not full strength, so let's not pretend like this is their team. But 21 turnovers, that's just not good basketball. And, of course, if you commit 21 turnovers to a good team, you're probably not going to win that game. And Lakers looked a little lazy, lackadaisical, and I expected it. So I'm not too shocked or surprised from that perspective. Okay, let's look at individual players here real quick because I do want to do that. Before I get into Anthony Davis, I just want to point out a couple players. I thought Austin Reeves had a good night. Austin Reeves, a little bit better than 50% from the field, 3 of 6 from the three-point line, 19.6 rebounds and 4 assists. A couple turnovers I wasn't crazy about. I think he ended up with 4 turnovers total. Had a couple great highlights. Crypto going crazy on a couple of his spin moves. One-hander off the wrong foot, kind of goes up all in one motion. Austin Reeves does that. Like I mentioned, hit some threes as well. So I thought he had a nice game. And again, I'm gonna kind of hold off on AD for a second because I want to get AD in just a second. Rui, 5 of 10 from the field, 15 points. I'll take it. 15 points, shoots 50% from the field. The man knows how to use his body. He's better and better footwork, more and more comfortable. Hit 3 threes for the Lakers as well, so that was big. Had the big 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks a couple nights ago. I thought what was somewhat of a relief, LeBron played. And I know he was questionable. He obviously got an extra day rest because he didn't play against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Lakers rewarded him for that. And, it didn't end up hurting the Lakers that he did not play, and they still got the W. So I thought that was important. I thought that was obviously big. But LeBron, 10 of 16 from the field, 29 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, and got the proper rest. And for everybody that knows what the Lakers' schedule is this upcoming week, he's got some more rest coming. They just play basically twice this week. They play Wednesday and they play Saturday. So that means he gets 2 days rest before he plays the Sacramento Kings, so he's going to be fresh. Then 2 days rest before he plays the Golden State Warriors. He's going to be fresh. So that's some really good news right there for the Lakers, and specifically LeBron. I thought LeBron looked good. I thought LeBron looked great out there. He looked comfortable out there, wasn't forcing anything. And anytime LeBron plays, this is one thing that I've definitely noticed, and I think we all have as well. Anytime LeBron plays in a game where he gets the proper amount of rest, he looks like a completely different player, which is, I think, why a lot of people are just hoping and praying for the Lakers to get in the playoffs, because when you get those 7-game sets, it's a little bit different. You do have rest. The travel is a lot easier. You play a couple times in one city before you do travel, so that should play to his advantage. Okay. Held off long enough. I think it's time to, obviously get into the man of the night. And look, I'm going to preface by saying this because I want everybody to know who's tuned in here. I'm not trying to overhype a win against Minnesota without Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I know Anthony Davis monster numbers. Some of that has to do with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert not being there. However, anytime somebody does something that's never been done in a stat line, 27 points, 25 rebounds, 7 steals, 5 assists, and 3 blocked shots, what the hell? That's incredible. That's incredible. And right now for Anthony Davis, at least for me, AD's had a couple of games over these last couple of weeks where just didn't look all that impressive. Anthony Davis's stat lines over these, if it wasn't for the night that I know he got that stinger in the game against the Milwaukee Bucks, but I pointed this a couple times that he's had some games against Milwaukee. What was it? 22 and 13 rebounds, still had 3 blocks, 5 assists. It's not a terrible game, but what Giannis was doing. But those last few losses that they had, what Yusuf Nurkic did against him, what Nikola Jokic did against him, what Domantas Sabonis did against him. By the way, you get Domantas Sabonis again on Wednesday, so you could try to, obviously avenge that last loss. But this is an incredible night for Anthony. Those numbers are just ridiculous. I heard Jackson Hayes in the postgame. He's like, I've never got anywhere near 25 rebounds. And I know Jackson Hayes, I'm not trying to compare him to Anthony Davis, but athletic player, a player that's high energy. AD 27-25. How about the 7 steals? He had 4 in the first quarter, most he's ever had in a quarter. And then the 3 blocks, it's just kind of another day in the office, and the 5 assists of what he does. So Anthony Davis, 9-17 from the field. Missed a few free throws, was 9-13 from the free throw line, but just freaking incredible. Okay, I know we got a lot of comments to get into here, so let me do my best to get some of these. Let's see what we got here. Right out the gate, people were coming in. Sliwa always late. Okay, thank you very much for that. Sliwa warming up for the shadow boxing. We got some boxing gloves here. Remember, I didn't really go all in today. I just kind of when you don't have a Gobert and you don't have a Karl Anthony Towns, I don't want to go all in. Now they get a win against the Sacramento Kings. I'll basically kickbox from across the room coming into my seat. I would 100% pull a hammy, so I won't do that. Must needed win, Allen. They got it. We're coming for the 6 seed sleep. I'll get to that in a little bit. I appreciate the comment there. Wilt Davis right here. You know what's crazy? Let me go look up. So Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Thompson, who obviously I do the pregame show with. How about this? Look how stupid this stat is. You ready for this stat? Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points and 25.7 rebounds per game during a season. Did you just hear what I just said? Wilt had a year where he averaged 50 and 25.7. What the hell? So I get the Wilt Davis comp right there, but the hell is going on here? All right, Victor Simpson. I think the Bulls going to do us a favor tomorrow and beat the Mavs. Let me tell you something about the Bulls. They already helped us with the Sacramento Kings. They already helped us with the Golden State Warriors. So you might as well get the trifecta and get that Mavs game as well. Francis, Reed was killing us, but he didn't do in the fourth. Naz Reid had, for those who don't know, Naz Reid had 21 at halftime. Naz Reid's a good player. He's a nice player, but he's not supposed to be your star. He's supposed to be the dude that comes off the bench for Karl Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert and kind of be some instant offense, which is what he is for him, for them. He had 21 in the first half. Second half, he only had 4 points. So the Lakers obviously did something different against him and did a really nice job. I'm glad they got their defensive mindset back. They keep this up. They're going to scare the hell out of the rest of the league. I appreciate the comment. I will tell you this. I don't think the Lakers, I think they're leaning further and further away from a defensive-minded team. I don't know, maybe they're waiting for Vando to come back if Jared Vanderbilt comes back, but that's going to be key and that's going to be imperative, I think, for them to start doing some damage on the defensive side. But they're becoming more and more of an offensive team. I mean, I think they're just kind of saying, all right, let's just put our best 5 in and see if we can outscore teams. And the thing that's not very comforting right now around the Lakers, and I will say, and I think you guys would agree with this, they still are not getting much out of their bench. Hayes had 9 for them tonight. I don't remember a Laker. It's probably a Taurean Prince a few games ago or something. I don't remember a Laker that's got the double figures in a long time off the Lakers bench. Dinwiddie didn't score in 17 minutes. Taurean Prince had 6 in 24 minutes. So they are relying a lot on their starters. Actually, everything is coming down to their starters. AD was a beast on both ends. Yes, the Lakers beat a depleted T-Wolves teams, but they also beat Boston without AD. LeBron beat the Bucks without LeBron and injured AD. Hey, Keith, here's the reality. You can't determine what the schedule is and who's in and who's out. Just go win those games that you get an opportunity to go do it. So I actually think Minnesota is a good team. I think they're a really good team. They're a good team if Gobert's there. They're a really good team if Karl Anthony Towns is there. I think a lot of people are not. They're just kind of counting the Timberwolves and the Thunder out. I get why you count the Thunder out because of their inexperience. I wouldn't count the Timberwolves out if Karl Anthony Towns is there. I wouldn't. They're the number 1 defensive team in the NBA by far. Anthony Edwards can go off for 40 points any given night. They got a couple vets, right? You got vets like Kyle Anderson and Rudy Gobert is Mike Conley. These are guys that have had playoff runs. So, but you got to just kind of take advantage of what's their schedule. Let me give you an example. Steph Curry may not play on Saturday. Look at the Warriors a couple days ago. Warriors had the easiest schedule left in the NBA, or one of the easiest schedules left in the NBA. They had a home game against the Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs, and were probably telling themselves, oh, we're going to be cruising. We're going to get at this number 10 spot. Maybe we'll get up to 8. Maybe we'll get up to 7. And then Chicago hung around the entire game. Steph Curry turns his ankle. They lose to Chicago. And yesterday they lost to the San Antonio Spurs. And who knows what happens now with the Golden State Warriors. Now, they're going to be in the number 10. They'll be top 10. They're not going to fall out of those seedings. But that's how quick it could change. And frankly, that could happen to the Lakers, and nobody's going to have any remorse. I just want all these teams, by the time they get to the playoffs, you want them to have their guys. I hate not seeing teams that are 100% healthy. But right now, Lakers have dealt with issues, and Minnesota obviously dealt with their issue today, and the Lakers took advantage of it. So go from there. Okay, let's see what we got here. Why Naz Reid looks super elite against the Lakers. There's always players like that look great against the Lakers. D'Lo plus 21 most in the game. D'Lo's doing his thing. You know what? I like? Let me tell you my favorite part about D'Lo tonight. I didn't feel like he was forcing anything, right? He's coming off a game where he had 44. He didn't come out here and jack 25 shots up and just say, hey, I got to go get mine. So even though I don't think that's D'Lo's game anyways. I don't think D'Angelo Russell has that where he's not a selfish player is the best way that I can put it. Okay, a couple more in here and then a couple other things I want to get into. We have to win against the Kings. That game's obviously coming up on Wednesday. Well, I'll tell you this. And I'm going to get into the Kings stuff in just a second. So I don't want to, because I got a lot of people here. Lakers win against the Kings 60 is still a possibility. I got a lot of people that want to talk about that game. Why can't AD do this against Joker? Because he's the best player in the NBA, and that's the reality. there's levels to it. I think none of us should be, I think none of us should look at it any differently. I think there is definitely levels to it. Okay, couple things I want to do here real quick because I want to look at the standings and I want to break down that Lakers Kings game because that's going to be a big one, obviously coming up. Haven't done it in a couple games. Sammy just reminded me here, so let's do it right now. Let's do some roll call. If you guys want to let me know where you're tuning in from, it could be the city, the state, the country, wherever the heck you are in the world, because I know Laker fans are everywhere. Feel free to put it in the comments. I'll do my best to get to it. And I'll definitely make that happen. Quick shout out here, too. I do want to put on my screen here, and I want to make my picks. Underdog Fantasy is a proud partner of the post-game show here on Hoops Talk. So thank you to Underdog Fantasy. They were actually a big supporter of what I was doing with this channel. So I'm appreciative to obviously to partner with them. If you know daily fantasy sports and you play daily fantasy sports, then I don't really need to tell you how Underdog Fantasy is a fantastic DFS site to join. And if you do join, you could use my code you could use my code on Underdog Fantasy HoopsLA. If you use the code HoopsLA, you get they'll match your first deposit of up to $100, so you can put $50 in. They'll give you $50 free to play with. You got $100, and now you can play as often as you want. It's only for new signups. If you're not aware of daily fantasy sports or you're not aware of Underdog Fantasy, I encourage you to go on the website. And if it's something that I'll show you right here, what I do, I always do pick'ems, which is just basically picking specific players. I do pregame, which is games for tomorrow. And I've already highlighted the Dallas-Chicago game since that's a game that has some obviously has some juice for the Lakers in the standings. Luka, higher or lower than 33.5 points. Since he's done it 6 games in a row, he's had plus 30-point triple doubles now for 6 games in a row. I'll go higher. DeMar DeRozan, 25.5 points. I'll go higher. I don't think Dallas nor Chicago really play that good a defense. So I'll go higher on both of these. I'm going to put $20 in. If I get both of these, it pays out $60. Again, use that code HoopsLA if you got interest of being a part of it. Okay, so Lakers got the Kings. Well, let me do this. I'll do the Kings last. Look, the standings are still very fluid. If you'd have told me after the Sacramento Kings game, this is before Steph Curry got injured, and after the Lakers lost to the Sacramento Kings, so that was before the Friday and Sunday game that the Lakers just had. If you'd have told me that the Lakers have a chance outside of 9 and 10, I tell you, I don't think it's happening. I'd actually started telling you that I think they're going to be the number 10 seed, and that's just where I thought they were going to go. Golden State was on a little bit of a tear. Steph gets injured. They lose 2 straight games at home. Sacramento just lost a game randomly. Who'd they lose to? I forget who they lost to. Houston. Lost to Houston. Şengün got injured in that game. I feel bad for that dude. He's a nice player. But Sacramento loses that game. They lose it at home. Sacramento's had some bad losses. You're still semi in the mix here with the Dallas Mavericks. It's not out of the Lakers' sight to potentially move up here, but I think what's probably most likely here, we'll see what Dallas does, what Sacramento does. The only thing I'll tell you is Dallas and Sacramento both have the tiebreaker on the Lakers. So even if the Lakers beat the Sacramento Kings coming up on Wednesday, which they need to do anyways because they need to beat the Sacramento Kings, but even if they beat them, Sacramento still has the tiebreaker. Dallas has the tiebreaker on the Lakers. So they can't finish with the same record. Lakers got to be they have to be better than whatever their records are when the season ends. But I think what's starting to come more in play here, I don't think the Lakers are going to be the 10th. I think there's a very good chance Golden State's going to end up being the 10th because of the circumstances that I mentioned and because of Steph's injury. So still a lot of games left. I mean, not a crazy amount. What do you got? 66. So we got about 16 games left before you know what it's all going to be done. But where I thought they're probably just going to end up in the number 10 spot is not looking like that's a lock or a guarantee anymore. So something to keep in mind there when it comes to the standings, that at least that mix, I don't think they're going to move out of 10. There's still some fluidness. Now, for those that are looking a little bit further, Phoenix lost earlier today as well. Who'd Phoenix end up losing to? Man, the NBA is so weird. It is so weird. Anyone could beat anyone. I actually asked Darvin Ham in the pregame show. So my question to him was, if he's seen this much balance in a conference that literally 1 through 10, anyone can beat anyone. And we're going to walk into the playoffs, and the only team anybody is going to have any guarantee or lock on what to expect is the Nuggets. That's it. I don't know what Minnesota's going to be. Are they going to be healthy? I don't know what the Thunder are going to be because they don't have any experience. The Clippers, talented as can be, but I don't know, still some question marks with the Los Angeles Clippers. Keep going down the list. Phoenix has been up and down all year long. Sacramento, you're not shocked if they lose in the first round. Pelicans, I actually have no idea what the Pelicans are either. So much of this is just going to depend on matchups. I do want to look at who Phoenix lost to today. They lose today. They lost yesterday. They might have lost yesterday. Regardless, everything is so wide open. Oh, Phoenix lost to Boston yesterday. That's what it was. All right, that's not a bad loss. Celtics are them and Denver are just the clear-cut two best teams. Two back in the loss column of Dallas, 3 games in the loss column behind Sacramento and Phoenix. I'd pay less attention to Sacramento. Phoenix Lakers have a tiebreaker on, so technically they'd be closer to matching them. At the end of the day, you got to win your games. So just worry about your games, and the West has already shown you're going to get random losses from teams. And, obviously that's another random loss that some random losses that we already got today. I mentioned the Rockets, the Bulls, other teams have some upsets out there. Okay, let me read off some of these comments here. All right, looks like Phoenix will play Cavs and Boston again this week. So, look, I'm going to go back to saying what I was saying. Who the hell knows what happens in the Western Conference? Honestly, who the hell knows what happens in the Western Conference? There's no lock, no guarantee at all from any of these squads. Okay, a couple quick shout-outs here, and then I'm going to do the Sacramento Kings game coming up on Wednesday. I did that one. The Nas Reed, 6 games over 500 is the most in how many seasons? Seiko, that's a good question. All right, last year, I don't think they got over 6 games. The year before that is when they won 33 games. They went 33 and 49. Maybe the year prior, right? I'm assuming then the year prior. So that's interesting. That's interesting that's the case. Okay, a couple quick shout outs for those that are tuning in. You know what I like about this? I know I don't do roll call as often, but anyways, my apologies. Sometimes I forget or just depending on the type of game. What's great about this is this just shows these are not people that are all just in the same city. Look at all these Laker fans that are tuning in right now. Odell checking in from New York City. I appreciate you tuning in. Let's get let me find some of these here real quick. Moreno Valley, Temple City, Fresno in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. Cal State Fullerton in the house. Indonesia. Thank you for being a part of the show. South Africa, Johannesburg. Thank you very much for tuning in. Makes me think of, I don't know if you guys remember Talib Kweli. Talib Kweli used to have an album, and the start of his album was Nelson Mandela says that he was tuning in, I think he said from Johannesburg, South Africa, and then the album started. So that makes me think of that. Bronx, Big Apple, thank you for being a part of the show. Where else we got here? Little Italy, Las Vegas. Anaheim in the house. Rochester, New York. UK, thank you for tuning in. Another New Yorker, thanks for being a part of the house. My neighbor, South Pasadena, thank you for being a part of the show. San Diego State Cafeteria. Let's go Aztecs. By the way, Aztecs got to clear up their stuff here in this getting ready for the March Madness tournament. They're not looking good right now. Manila, Philippines, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Awesome. The Philippines, thank you for being a part of it. All right, what else we got here? Colorado, Alberta or Calgary, Alberta, thank you for being a part of the show. Washington, D.C., thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate you all for being a part of the show. University of Newcastle, Australia, I think I mentioned. So thank you all for being a part of the show. I want to go back to a couple of the comments I saw here. There was one that I saw earlier that I want to see if I can find here. Give me 2 seconds to try to find it. And then OC O'Neal, Minnesota's good. Minnesota, look, I think Minnesota's legit. That's my own personal opinion. I don't think a lot of people are sold on them, but they got to have Cat. Gobert's going to eventually come back. They got to have Cat. They got players. I don't want to play. To be honest with you, in the first round, I think that'd be a very, very tough matchup. I think everybody wants the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the Lakers are not going to have the luxury of picking who they play because they're going to be in the playing tournament or most likely in the playing tournament. So yeah. So we'll leave it at that. Okay, let's get into what I think is a really fascinating next game for the Lakers. One of the more frustrating games I've watched all season with the Lakers happened just last Wednesday. So really good weekend for the Lakers. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They did what they had to do, which was, I don't even know if had to do. I didn't expect them to sweep the weekend. So they had a great weekend. There's no other way to put it. Beating the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday and then just beating Minnesota. A week ago, if I'd have said, hey, this matchup is coming up, and this was before Cat got injured. You got Friday against the Milwaukee Bucks, Middleton, just assuming he's going to play. Obviously, LeBron would play as well. Okay, that's going to be a tough matchup. And then you get the Minnesota Timberwolves. Well, LeBron ends up not playing. You still got the win. And then you got the T-Wolves and got a little lucky that three key guys for them, two of their primary players, specifically Gobert on defense and Karl Anthony Towns on offense, didn't play. The fact that loss against the Sacramento Kings, and then this is where we're sitting here getting a chance to go play the Sacramento Kings, it was one of the more frustrating games I watched all year. Lakers went up by 19 and then just relaxed. How can a team relax when you're playing a team that can drop 100 and 135 on any given night in the Sacramento Kings? How can a team relax when you don't have the margin for error to relax? You don't have the luxury to relax. That's what happened against Sacramento. It was such a weird loss. It wasn't that the game just came down to the last second. I actually like that the game was only a week apart. It's not like the game came down to the last second and both teams just played hard. And you know what? Sacramento just hit a couple of buckets, or maybe Lakers got the shot they wanted, but it just didn't fall. And you kind of tip your cap to Sacramento. That did not happen. Lakers went up 19, and in a span of 14 minutes, Sacramento outscored the Lakers 54-20. And I know after that game, there were a lot of people very angry, and a lot of people also were very upset at Darvin Ham. They felt like schematically timeouts. What is this guy doing? Is this guy the right guy? Hey, if this continues, you got to call it quits with Darvin Ham. So there was a lot that took place right after that game against the Sacramento Kings. And frankly, the Kings punked the Lakers. They punked them at Crypto, and they punked them 3 times this year. They're 3-0 against the Lakers this season. Part of my fascination with the game coming up on Wednesday, more than anything else, is how do the Lakers respond? I get that the Lakers are 0-3 against the Nuggets this year. I get that, right? It's the Denver Nuggets. They dominate them. They're the NBA champs. They've won 8 in a row against the Lakers. But Sacramento is 3-0 against the Lakers. The Kings, they are. So do the Lakers, what's that game look like on Wednesday? How personal do the Lakers take it? Because the Kings, they took that game last Wednesday very personally. You know how I know they took it personally? I'll tell you. Because I'm going to show you what the Kings have been doing over this kind of stretch run here. They lost to Miami. They lost at Denver. Then they beat Minnesota in overtime. They lost to Chicago out of nowhere. Then they beat the Lakers, beat the Spurs by 2, and then lost to the Houston Rockets. Point I'm trying to make is if you look at their last 10 games, they're 5-5. They look very mediocre. They have some impressive wins. They have some bad losses. In just the month of February, they lost to Detroit. They lost to Chicago starting here in March. That's a game at home. They lost to the Rockets at home. They're a little bit all over the place. The Pistons loss they had was at home. They're all over the place. But I tell you what the Sacramento Kings do when they play the Los Angeles Lakers. They're ready to go. They want to play the Lakers. They like that matchup against the Lakers. They get up to play the Lakers. And that's what I mean by part of my curiosity for that game coming up on Wednesday. Do they kind of match that same, yeah, we want to take you out too? Is it personal for the Lakers or is it just personal for Sacramento? Because I don't feel like it's personal for the Lakers and Sacramento just keeps beating their ass and it still doesn't seem personal to the Lakers. Will Wednesday be that? Because Wednesday you got a chance to avenge your loss. Wednesday you got a chance at least to kind of walk away saying, all right, whatever happened back at Crypto a week ago, at that time it will be a week because they're going to play on Wednesday. That's over. That's done with. We just didn't play that game well and we screwed it up. But we got another shot on Wednesday. That's why I like that this is only a week apart, because if it was a month apart, a couple of months apart, maybe then the game wouldn't be as important, or maybe they would have already, not it wouldn't be as important. They would have already forgot about the time that the Lakers lost to the Kings and the way that they lost. But this is only 1 week separation. You've won your last 2 games since. All right, go up to Sacramento and, kind of quiet some of those King fans up there. Wednesday must be a statement game for the Lakers. Maybe. We'll find out. What I'm not going to do with this Lakers team, I'm going to try my best never to just get too high about this team, because they have a tendency to really disappoint you. That when you start kind of getting a lot of faith in the team, they start to disappoint you. Now, I will tell you this. They're 36-30 now, so they are 6 games over 500. So they certainly have something. They got something to look forward to. Why don't we draft Fox? Ooh, you're telling me that dude's a baller. By the way, I think that was also part of the frustration that the Laker fans had. And, I was on talk radio the next day, so I was doing it as well. Part of the frustration with the game against Sacramento, too, is Lakers, I didn't feel like they make any adjustments. Malik Monk was doing the same thing the entire game. Lakers did nothing about it. De'Aaron Fox was going to his left every single time. Lakers did nothing about it. Nothing about it. That's the adjustments, the lack of adjustments. We need AD to be a monster against the Kings. This actually, Oscar, that's a good point. AD was also very disappointing against the Sacramento Kings. If I'm right, was that he had a game where he was 17-11. He had a game where he was 14-11. This might have been the 14-11 game. All right, let's see what else we got here. Some people here wanting Vogel. I will tell you, just to give you guys an idea from my shoes, and I think you guys know what I'm talking about, and I'm not making the same comparison because I actually liked Frank Vogel as a coach. I thought Vogel was a good coach. But when Vogel was coach, people were still talking about firing Vogel. The Ham angle, I get more. I get that angle more. But just when Vogel was coach, there were still a lot of people that were saying, hey, we should fire Vogel. Okay, it was AD's 14-11 game against the Kings. So I appreciate Sammy putting that in the chat there. That was the 14-11. And I don't have to tell you guys, that's not enough to get it done. Domantas Sabonis, honestly, in the games that he goes up against Anthony Davis, I don't feel like Sabonis even realized that Anthony Davis is there. And we're talking about one of the best defenders in the NBA, one of the best defenders in the league, and it doesn't even feel like that. So a lot going on there. Somebody here not happy with Dinwiddie. Yeah, dude off the bench, not really happening, but the whole bench isn't happening. AD can't beat Sabonis. Who would have thought that that's a sentence? That Anthony Davis has that much trouble with Domantas Sabonis. All right, Highland Park in the house. Thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate that. A couple more here, and then we're going to call it a night. Good point here. With Vogel, one of the problems was Westbrook. That trade hampered the Lakers, no question about it. But he was obviously a part. He was the coach of a championship team in the bubble. Okay. Let me kind of wrap things up here real quick. It wasn't pretty tonight, but it was a win. Lakers over the Timberwolves. Move on. 6 games over 500. AD, big time numbers. However, I'm just going to point this out. You don't have to have 27 and 25 against Sabonis along with your 7 steals, but you do need to have a better game than Domantas Sabonis coming up on Wednesday. And then, like I said, that showdown coming up on Wednesday against the Sacramento Kings, so it should be fun. Laker fans, that's all I have tonight. I am doing Lakers Talk tomorrow night on radio, and I think we're actually going to just start live streaming these. It's great to do it on 710 ESPN, and then I just kind of link up my channel as well, so we get both channels to interact. So I'll probably be live streaming that one as well. And then I got to think of some content to put up on Tuesday. I know we're going to also be promoting the game for Wednesday as well. So thank you, everybody, for coming on the chat. Solid number today, over 400 people hanging out, so thank you for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Sammy in the background, handling all the comments, doing his thing. He'll be putting out a preview video for the Lakers and the Kings. So, Laker fans, I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Lakers over the Timberwolves, 120-109. Come hang out tomorrow. I'll also be on radio on 710 ESPN. Thanks, Laker fans.